My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty.
Last night was a big night for empathy and sanity, and because there is so much that I could potentially go into in this video, I had to really focus it down on two important takeaways that I think people should come away with from this election that maybe aren't getting the attention that they deserve. Starting with the fact that anti-trans bigotry does not win you elections. So we saw this very clearly in Virginia. Abigail Spanberger running away with a massive victory against the Republican opponent, 57.2% to 42.6%. And that Republican race, their focus was largely on anti-trans bigotry. ABC News headline here, Republican leans on anti-trans rights ads in Virginia governor race, including one ad that claims Spanberger supports men and girls locker rooms and closes with the notion that Abigail Spanberger is for they, them, not us, a direct echo of an ad the Trump campaign used against Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election. So clearly this campaign came away from that Trump election thinking the reason Trump won is because of his hatred towards trans people and hatred generally. That's not why he won. You can go back and watch my video breaking down the results of that election and why what happened. It was because of affordability. In fact, it wasn't just a American election phenomenon. Across the world, in basically every single election, it was a change election. Because a lot of people were feeling the squeeze and they figured people currently in charge aren't doing it. Let me support the other guy. When you actually look at exit polling from that election, and we'll get to the exit polling from this election, anti-trans issues were nowhere to be found because most people aren't trans. So why would trans issues be their top of mind? It's not. Their top issue is affordability. So let me play a couple of clips from MSNBC discussing just how far the Republican campaign in Virginia went on their anti-trans hate.
Her opponent in this race focused on demonizing trans folks, talking about trans issues, running a million ads about trans kids trying to play sports. And I think thought that she looked at polling, she thought this was a motivating issue, and it did not work for her. And I do think it's worth everyone kind of sitting with that a little bit, particularly because we've heard so much about how this is a wedge issue the Democrats are on the wrong side of and are back-footed. Like, we've got a little bit of a test case in Virginia. Not the only thing that happened. There's national mood, there's candidate quality. But I think it's pretty striking how central those ads and that message was to that campaign. And how much that seems to have been thoroughly rebuked by voters who, to Westmore's point, do seem continually laser focused on affordability and economic prospects.
All these anti-trans ads every time you turn on the TV. It was the majority. I looked this up because I was curious. 57% of all of the money spent by both the campaign for Winsome Sears as well as the outside groups was on anti-trans ads.
More than 50%?
More than 50%.
57% of the ads spent on the election for the Republicans was on anti-trans hatred. And what did that get them? Loss after loss after loss. Democrats flipped the Virginia House, or I should say seats within the Virginia House. They already controlled it. But now they have a commanding majority at 64 seats, including all 8 out LGBTQ candidates for the Virginia House of Delegates won their races. All that hatred, all that bigotry resulted in historic losses. Sahil Kapoor here from NBC News, writing top 5 issues for Virginia voters in the election: economy, healthcare, immigration, education, and crime. Transgender rights didn't make the cut. People are not thinking about trans issues because most people aren't trans. Now, it should be noted, trans rights is a human right. You should be concerned about it. You should be thinking about it as somebody who wants to protect people who are trans. But in terms of the focus on it in an election, to try and win an election and through being hateful, it's not a successful strategy. It's stupid, and it's also, of course, more importantly, destructive. One more clip to that point. This is Andy Beshear on why he vetoed an anti-trans bill during his re-election last year. This is somebody who is a governor in a conservative state, and he stood up against transphobia and still continues to be popular.
Well, there's no question in 2023 that our legislature did what they did because they wanted to attack me politically. And I hate the fact that we had a lot of Kentuckians that had to suffer because of it. It was mean, it was unnecessary, and it was making a group of people that are already marginalized feel that much worse in a state that I otherwise love. And so first of all, I was going to veto it the whole time. Some things are worth losing over, and I was going to stand up for those individuals. They are Kentuckians and children of God just like anybody else. But I tell you what, by explaining that why, I didn't lose a single point. Not one. They ran $10 million of anti-trans ads. I ran $9 million of, hey, look at all our great new jobs ads. And I won by 4.5 points more in re-election than I won the first time around.
Did not lose a single point. This is a Democratic governor in a conservative state standing up against transphobia and continues to be one of the most popular governors in the U.S. Let's get to the second big takeaway. That is the fact that young men are not lost. In fact, you can win them back with an election on affordability. So, of course, Mamdani, massive victory here against Andrew Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa. Here is part of his speech that I just found to be, the whole speech was amazing, but I love the unwillingness to be conciliatory to an absolute loser in Andrew Cuomo.
My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty. I wish Andrew Cuomo only the best in private life. But let tonight be the final time I utter his name as we turn the page on a politics that abandons the many and answers only to the few. New York, tonight you have delivered a mandate for change. A mandate for a new kind of politics. A mandate for a city we can afford. And a mandate for a government that delivers exactly that.
It was honestly one of the greatest political speeches I have seen live, and I urge you to go and watch it. I will link to it below the video under sources on this video on YouTube. Watch the whole speech in case you missed it. It is so good. But on the point of winning young men, this is Alan Smith of NBC here writing exit polling on young men 18 to 29 in Virginia, New Jersey, and New York City. Spanberger plus 14, Cheryl plus 10, Mamdani plus 40. Now compare that to where it was last year, or I should say where it was during the last general election. Harris plus 4 in Virginia, plus 7 in New Jersey, and plus 28 in New York City. There is something I really noticed about the Mamdani campaign compared to previous Democratic campaigns, and that was the willingness to speak to podcast groups, people that you otherwise would think Democrats would shy away from. So Trump supporters. One of the first things that Mamdani did a year ago after the last election was ask Trump supporters or New Yorkers why they voted. Many of them voted for Trump, asked them why they voted, and the issue came down to affordability. And he used that as a lesson, as a way to say, hey, maybe we can actually reach some of these people. Now, of course, look, there's a cult out there that we're all very aware of. You're not going to get the entire cult. But there are people that simply vote for change. Things aren't currently working out. Let me vote for the other person, which also gets down to, I mean, this is going to be a takeaway generally for Democrats and any politician. If you don't deliver, you will lose. So whether it's Virginia, New Jersey, Mamdani, if they don't deliver on their agenda and they aren't able to bring costs down in the ways that they promised to bring costs down, then they will lose next time. So you have to actually deliver. Mamdani is somebody who spoke on these issues in a way that very few Democratic politicians and politicians generally have. And that's why I think he was able to connect in a way that others didn't. But, you know, I saw him on, I forget the name of the podcast now, but the guy with the mustache, that podcast, which these guys voted for Trump, at least the main host did. And they brought on Mamdani, had a wonderful conversation. I watched it for an hour. Now, understanding that podcast is very geared towards men, young men, and that is their audience. Now, I'm not saying, going on that podcast won him this race, but the willingness to speak the language of the average person, of people that just want to be able to get by, want to be able to afford to live, and understand that government currently isn't working for them, his ability to communicate to those people and communicate a message that clearly resonated was the reason why he was able to get people out in a way that we rarely see. This gets to the clip here. It's a clip from CNN with a voter for Mamdani discussing why he voted.
You've lived here in Queens for a while now. You just voted here a little bit earlier. Can you tell me who you voted for and why?
Yeah, so I ended up voting for Mamdani. The reason why is, I've always been a Democrat my whole life, but I've been kind of frustrated with the direction that some of the more mainstream or establishment Democrats have taken. I feel like they struggle to really articulate a vision for the society that they'd like to see, but that's not the case with Zohran. I feel like with him, he has a clear vision for the kind of New York that he imagines, and that's the one that I believe in too. One that's more equitable, one where the rich just don't dominate everything in the city like I feel like they're so used to doing.
You've lived here a while now. What do you think is the biggest issue that New Yorkers are facing?
Definitely affordability. I mean, that's where Mamdani really just nailed that one. Just everything in the city is so outrageously expensive that the city's really been in a state of decline for a while.
Yeah.
And I like that. I think Mamdani's going to bring us back to being the greatest city in the world.
Affordability. This is a message from voters that you heard over and over again. This was the main reason Mamdani was able to elevate to the level that he elevated. Also, just let's be clear. He's an incredible politician. His ability to communicate, his charisma, his ability to speak multiple languages, speak all different sorts of ethnic groups. Like, he is a incredibly unique politician in this time, in just that outpouring of positivity and intelligence that is unmatched. But if you don't have the underlying policies and the specifics on what those policies are, you're not going to reach many people with your message. So, worth noting as well, young women are also the story of the night. 81% for Mamdani, 80% for Charlotte, New Jersey, 78% for Spanberger. That was per NBC's exit polls. And I want to play this clip from AOC, her message to the Democratic Party. This is well worth a listen.
I do think that this moment, a lot of people who are willing to talk about party unity when it serves them, but not party unity when it serves everybody, it puts those folks on notice. And I think it also puts folks on notice that we have a future to plan for. We have a future to fight for. And we're either going to do that together or you're going to be left behind. And I think that is not a partisan issue. It's not about progressive. It's not moderate. It's not liberal. This is about, do you understand the assignment of fighting fascism right now? And the assignment is to come together across difference no matter what.
Keep in mind, Mamdani won without the endorsement of Chuck Schumer, who is supposed to be one of the Democratic Party leaders, who literally is a member for New York, didn't endorse him, even though Mamdani is the Democratic nominee. So, like, this victory for Mamdani is a real shot at the Democratic Party establishment. I think it's going to help embolden people like AOC, like Bernie Sanders, to speak out more forcefully and consistently against a Democratic Party leadership that appears unwilling to rip themselves away from their corporate buddies. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe, and check out some of the other videos I have on this channel.